Cool. So we're in week one. Thank you for coming. So tonight's just going to kind of be an introduction to what we do. I know quite a few of you guys have heard this, but I do see a lot of new faces in the room. So we'll go over what we do, kind of what we stand for, and I guess really what the goals for the term are. So kind of a little introduction. This doesn't lead into anything. I've had people get built up excited and go, oh. But so I guess a little bit of what's going to go on. So what is KES? Term review. So what we did over winter, a little bit of what we did over fall term, kind of what we do over this term, what to expect, and then just kind of here's what we do for pitch presentations. That way when you guys come up with ideas and have ideas, you know what format we want to see them in so we can get the best information to you. And we can have the most organized format for everybody, so when you're sitting down you can go, okay, here's my idea, here's what I want to do, and we can have a good forum discussion on, okay, what's really the best thing to do, and then when we go through the presentation, but I will get into that, but that's really what we're going to be doing tonight. Depending on time, I might add one or two other quick things in there. So KES really stands for three major things. We have mentoring. That's really a lot what's going on in here, what happens during the presentation. You get people that come in and present, and from that you'll get ideas from other people that are sitting in the room, or they'll look at it and go, okay, what could we do with this to make it bigger, better, more streamlined? Those are a lot of things that we go on, that go on in here, and also too, if need be, we can hook you up with other people that can give you further mentoring. Another big thing is networking. Just being here, you guys are starting to create a network. You are in the room, you're getting to meet the people around you. These are people that you could potentially work with. These are people you could have the next big idea with, build your company with, or these are people that you might just go, hey, I got this quick question. Regardless, it's good to network, it's good to meet people around, and it's good to have an idea of what their interests are, so when it comes to doing what you want to do, you know who you're working with and who's around you. And finally, funding. This term, the real major two that we're going to focus on are the first two, mentoring and networking. It's building those ideas up. It's getting your ideas out there, presenting them, so everybody can learn. That's really what the society is about. Funding just helps get that idea rolling, so that way when you come back, we can discuss, okay, how did this help grow, build, and then what did I learn, what failed, what succeeded, why, so on and so forth. And that information is really good for everybody else in the room as well as yourself, because you can go through and get an idea of these are the steps that I need to take to have better success in the future. We always like to say hurry up and fail, and I know Tav loves that. So, and when that happens, you get a better idea of what needs to happen and how to move forward, how to build your business, and build your idea on that. So, Tav, do you have anything else you'd like to add to this?
No, nothing other than to reiterate what you just said, which is this is a networking society, and our number one mission is to learn from each other. Okay, this is not a classroom. This is not. I'm not an expert in the subject to lecture at you. As a matter of fact, I talk very little. None of us are experts. We're here to learn from each other, so don't get distracted by the money thing. We're fortunate enough to have seed funding, but that has been a distraction in the past, that people just home in on that, and that's all they want to get is the money. That's not what we're about. What we're about is to teach each other or learn from each other's experiences. Money just, like I said, it makes it real. It allows us to do stuff. So just keep your eyes on that, please.
Okay. These are a bunch of different companies that have been started up by KES. You can see them up on the wall. We've had companies that have gone through, iterations. They've built up, they've collapsed, they've failed, they don't continue on. We've had others that are still successful, still running, still chugging, that, are really doing well. A lot of these businesses, the particular business doesn't start up, but the people go on and start other bigger, better businesses under different ideas. The goal again isn't to okay, we're not here to start businesses. You don't have to be here with the business. The goal is to have ideas and to learn. So this is just what comes out of it. This is kind of the result of learning. And it's really a good platform to really practice, so you can hurry up and fail, so you can learn bigger, better things. So when it does come time for that really big idea later on, and even if it's now, you have that foundation to work off of and go, here's what I need to do and why and at what time. So that's really what we're here for again. So, so there's a couple different things. We're going to do meeting videos. Mark, who right now is going through recording the meetings as we sit down and have your presentations, you can review those. Those will be huge because you'll hear the discussion that goes on. You'll be able to review the questions that you're asked, and you're going to be able to improve upon your idea. That's one big thing that we want to have once I get around to pitch presentations. I'll talk a little bit more about this, but taking the feedback from the room and being able to incorporate it, that's something that we want to see when you come back. That's showing that you're learning. It's showing that, hey, or you take through this process and you go, okay, this really didn't work. Even in the short period of time between your just initial, pitch idea and going, hey, here's what I'm thinking, and the time that you go through and you start requesting for line items and how it's going to grow. Taking those ideas and what's discussed in here and thinking it through and being able to bring that up, that's a really big thing, and that's how we all learn. So those would be good for sitting down and reviewing when you're going through and doing that process of coming up with things for your line items. Also grants, we'll talk about that a little bit more later as well. So going through that process, what level the grants are at and some of the rules that go with that, and then competitions. I guess less of a competition, but still a competition. We're going to have Kettering Impact this term, and then and that'll get introduced next week, Tuesday. But you guys will have a little bit of a heads up about it. You see the posters around. I got one of the posters on the table over there. So great competition, went over really well. Had some really good ideas over B section. So hopefully we can come up with as good, better, more, however we want to look at it, ideas this term. So
The champ is sitting in the room.
yep.
Hunter wanted to ask the last time.
So maybe at some point, Hunter, this term I'll have you come up and you can talk about your Kettering Impact idea. That might be a good thing for next week after we've kicked it off and we can go on with what's happening. These are things that are all around us, and this is something that everybody can do. It's just being able to have that mindset and the knowledge to be able to say, hey, I can do this. So cool. This is kind of what the weekly schedule is going to look like. So weeks 1 through 6, we're going to have concept introduction. So that's where this is your time to speak. So if you have an idea that you want to pitch to the society, something that you want to work on, this is the time to do it in weeks 1 to 6. This is when we want to hear from you. The earlier we hear from you, the more we can help you. And this is a format that's been groomed and tested, and this seems to be working really well. We've been working with it over the past few terms now. We've had it where you come in, you can pitch, and you hear from people once or twice, and you never really get that feedback. And that's what we're really looking for. We're looking term-to-term feedback from people. That's when we learn. That's when you, in your own business, learns, because you can go, okay, well, I came through this whole area, okay, where do I need to go from? And you're not quite sure. That's where you get the information from an open forum. And also, too, everything in here is to stay in here. The ideas that are created in here are safe. So when you discuss them, don't worry about people going out, taking your idea, starting it up, competing with it. That's not what goes on here. There's a non-disclosure that comes with being in the society. So as you're pitching, as you're presenting, don't worry about that. Let the ideas flow, because that's how you're going to get the best help. And then from the members as well, they're going to learn from what you guys are doing, the thought process, how does this industry work, and how can they apply that to what they want to do. Also, a couple other things too, we'll do company updates. Again, open forum for new ideas, but I know I'll probably end up talking this term about what I'm doing, where I'm going, how I'm doing it. I'll have Hunter talk a little bit, at least about the Kettering Impact, and some of the stuff that he's doing. Bring in a couple people to talk about what they're doing and how they're doing it and how they're getting to where they're going. And then, if time permits, some concept building activities we'll go through. We'll try to spark up some ideas and see where we can go with those. Week 7 to 10, this is kind of where, I guess, the more serious, this is where the funding part comes in. This is where we want to see line item and budget pitches. So the first part of that will be, here's what I need to move forward. We'll discuss line items. We want to remove the money value from those line items because we can really discuss what's the need versus looking at a number and going, no, yeah, we get caught up with money, we get caught up with numbers. If we remove that, we can really get a good idea and discuss what the real need is to move things forward. And then we can do a budget pitch on those approved items. So we've already discussed the items and we can go, oh, hey, yeah, we're good. Maybe not once we come up with a budget, or we can come up with different ideas within those to fit the budget that we have. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So pitching, we've been using this updated format for a little while now. It's worked really well. We've had some really good pitches that go through like this, and we can get some good information, like I talked about it. It's really based on ideas, and there's a form, I don't know if I've already got any paper copies to pass out, but I got one up here. So there's kind of the evaluation of your business. So it's kind of into a bunch of different steps. So you're either in 2 portions. You're either in proof of concept, which kind of fits into a tinkering budget, going through and saying, okay, well, I need to build an item just to see if it works. So kind of prototyping, testing the waters, things of that nature. We'll go through and we'll ask a couple questions about, okay, what's the feasibility of it? And those are discussions that we'll have as the time comes and as you see pitches go on. And then what the long-term vision is. Is it something that you just want to tinker with just to see if it's working? Or is it something that, okay, once I tinker with it, it really could turn into something? Which then moves us over into the business grant area, which there's 3 phases to that. There's the establishment phase, the exposure phase, and the expansion phase. So somebody that came out of the tinkering, they're going to go right into the establishment phase. Okay, what do we need to get, the basic functions of this started, and moving forward. The exposure phase really is, okay, I've got something working. How do I get my name out there? How do we start to grow, start to build, maybe start to see a little bit more sales if you're selling something, working on that. And the expansion phase is going, okay, I've got something that's really, really steady. How do I take it to the next level? And those will be things that we evaluate per case, and they really kind of flow, I guess, really naturally, depending on how many terms a member's been here, what kind of ideas they have, so on and so forth. So that's definitely, it's really something that builds upon itself, and it makes a lot more sense once you're in it versus just being on a piece of paper. I can talk about, okay, well, we got all these different phases, but if you can't see something, it's going to go, okay, well, where do I fit? And if we're not sure where you fit, we'll sit down and we'll discuss that as a society, just kind of see, okay, where are we fitting? That's kind of really all I have. I guess a couple more notes too with the pitching. We try to keep tinkering to about $1,000, and we keep the rest of our pitches under $3,000. Those seem to be good numbers to work with. Tinkering, that gives you enough money to play around with, to get a prototype made, to get a couple little tools to work with depending on what you need. The 3,000 really gets you a good point to step off from, build a little bit, get a little bit more stuff going. You should already have, kind of an idea put together at that point. Also to mention, if you need things for your business like computers, anything that can be easily transferred over to full personal use, those will be on a 50-50 split. So after everything's approved, we would provide 50% of the funds for that, and you would have to fork up the other 50% for that. And that's just to kind of protect the society. We don't want people going off and taking, oh, hey, I got this brand new laptop, great pitch, and they disappear, and hey, I got a brand new free laptop. That's not what we want to see. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to learn. So by doing that, get some of your own skin in the game so you continue to grow and build your business and learn. Because that's what we're really here for. And as always, all the rules are flexible. You just have to convince us that what you need is really necessary. So it's how well can you pitch on that stuff. So we do have limitations on that we will not break, but for the most part, things are flexible. So if you need a little bit more for one thing or whatever, depending, even that percentage, that 50-50 percentage split is, negotiable. You just have to prove to us that that is what is necessary. So I guess then,
So all of this is captured in the document, and I guess we're gonna put it on Google Drive, send the link out to everybody, or?
yes, that'll be something that'll get up on Google.
Yeah, what's
We
that?
have, we have our KES at Kettering.edu email address system. That's something that you guys, when you sign up and sign in, make sure that your emails all get on that. You'll be able to have access to that through your groups. All the important documents we'll post in there. You'll also be able to review all the old emails that go out and everything. So everything that goes out to the society as a whole, you'll be able to review and look at, and we'll make sure that stuff that's really important stays up at the top of that. So you'll be able to go out, get those documents. As certain things come up, we can go, hey, here's what these documents are, here's what you need, and you can go find them, you can go grab them, and you can get them filled out. So that's a new system that we're still mid-process of rolling out. It was a very successful transition from our old system over B section, and I'm going to assume that A section will go the same way in terms of getting this new system up and running. We just need all your contact information so we can get it in. A lot of it should be in there, but we can go from there. So I guess before I go on, does anybody have any questions about what's going on? And
To join that mailing list, do we just have to send an email to that web address?
if you send an email to that web address, it will send that email out to everybody else.
Okay.
If you're not on that list, it'll probably reject you.
Okay.
I have my alias up on the board, so if you want to be on that list, you can email me. If you know people that want to be on that list, you can email me. I will.
Kevin, do you wanna just sign in the sheet?
Yeah, that seems
Yeah,
to
that's-
be.
Let's do that.
What I was going to grab here.
Look in the front, let's see if
Here, I'm going to pass around a sheet. Just write your name and your email address on the back. Unfortunately, I can only accept at Kettering.edu email addresses. So other types of email addresses, we're still having issues with getting those put in.
Yeah, it's because it's a Kettering group, so they
Yeah.
don't take it anymore.
Yeah, so all of this will go to your Kettering email address, and we'll go from there. So
Anybody who doesn't have a Kettering email address?
I have one, but I don't want it to expire.
When does it expire?
I'm an alumni. I think they terminate it and you have to move over to an alumni address after like 6
It's
months.
still Kettering.edu.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
They don't do it anymore?
Yeah, at least that's what I've heard.
Okay.
Just
yeah, with
recently
the
they-
Google, it should be unlimited space. So
Okay.
they
as
just-
long as you have an at Kettering.edu
I do.
email address, I can get you in that system.
I think they just did it like last year or something.
If you don't get emails, let us know. We'll do something.
Yeah, yeah, it should be the same.
So, okay, now that sheet's going around, I guess, Tav, do you want to?
Our Facebook?
Yes, Marco, do you want to talk about our Facebook, YouTube, and the whole 9 yards there?
Yeah, we have a Facebook account, Kettering Entrepreneur Society, and I'll try to post all the videos each week, and some advertisements like about Kettering Impact, which I posted today, and about these weekly meetings.
So you may wanna like that Facebook, is that how it works?
Sorry.
Like it or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Something, so we get
Okay, I guess with that, does anybody have any ideas they want to pitch before, ideas they want to discuss, talk about, work with before I go on and start just rambling?
One thing though, did you mention that in order to get funding, you have to be here in term?
Yes, another rule with funding, sorry, thank you, Hunter. We request that members that get funding have been active for one term prior, that way we know that you come around. Again, in an effort to avoid people coming in just to grab money, which we have our ways after that, but in an effort to, I guess, foster that learning environment. That's just kind of something that's had to have been built in over time. So now, in terms of pitching, we still want you to pitch. We still want you to discuss your ideas, and we'll be more than happy to help you with that. It's just term number 2 is when you can start getting into the weeks 7 through 10. Here's what the actual pitching is for, and yeah. So, you got a question on that?
Yeah, I plan on being an active member throughout this term and the next term, and then throw out after that, but I have a surgery next week. I just want to make sure.
What was that?
I have a surgery next week, so I won't be at next week's meeting.
Oh yeah, no, we won't. We just want to see people's faces. I mean, if you're missing a week here, a week there, we're not going to count that against you as you're
Okay.
not an active member. We just want to see your face on a regular basis. So you've got your surgery. We're not going to count that against you.
I would hope you wouldn't.
Yes. So I mean, if you miss next week and then you were back week 3, that's continuing to be an active member. It's the person that shows up once every like 3 terms. That's not an active member.
Okay.
So.
And again, like Kevin said, the spirit of that, we ran into an issue for a while that people would show up, before we had this nice organization set up, having 3 weeks reserved for pitch at the end and all that. See, right now, you can't just show up and say, here's my pitch, give me money, because you have to have aired out your idea in the first 5 weeks. Okay, and you had to have had that engagement with the society,
That makes sense.
right? But before we had this issue that, people would hear there's money and they'd show up near the end of the term, they'd be senior students, we don't know where they're coming from, and then they would graduate. We would never get that primary mission satisfied, which is we gotta learn from each other, right?
Right.
We gotta engage. So we kind of put that in. Now, having said that, even though I'm a proponent of it, I'm still evaluating it as to what if a person is really involved in the society, but that's their first term, by the end of that term, they really have a great idea. So we'll discuss that with the leadership to see if at least we can put one of those asterisks on it, that, if you can convince us that we should break that rule, maybe we'll let you break it, but definitely, we're not gonna allow for people to just pop in and say,
Right. Put their hands out and say,
great idea,
"Please."
do something. So we gotta develop some trust in each other that, that we're gonna learn from you, because that's what we're here to as well. We wanna learn from you. So I hope you understand the spirit of it. So right now, it's a little rigid, but maybe leadership can discuss it a little bit. As cases come up, I guess per case, we can discuss that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I guess that falls under that. If you can convince us otherwise, rule that we have. But.
yeah, and again, our leadership knows very well, this is an entrepreneur society, which means we're not gonna become bureaucrats. We fight that tooth and nail. However, we've developed processes that help us not be total chaos, but we're always open to change. Because if we don't, we stop being entrepreneurial in our behavior, so we gotta keep an eye on that. So anytime you think something doesn't make sense or whatever, you need to start talking to your peers here, convince them that maybe some other way of doing things is better. As a matter of fact, participate in the leadership. Are you gonna talk about the leadership stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. We had a leadership meeting to express interest on Tuesday. So we had a very good turnout with that. I would like everybody, I guess, that's here from that meeting that's interested, still interested after being in that meeting. We'll have just a quick discussion afterwards. If you're interested in becoming leadership and you weren't able to make that meeting, you're more than welcome as well. We want to build it's a team effort to be able to get this off and to be able to have good mentoring programs, to be able to get good information out, to be able to get things posted on Facebook, to have the videos run. It takes obviously more than one person, and our team is definitely a very cross-functional team. There really aren't positions in it. We have positions that we can use for resumes, but in terms of what we do in those, it's okay, we're gonna go and kind of take on this task. It's more task oriented than position oriented. So we'll definitely have that discussion afterwards. And we can move on from there. So
Start thinking. You
Yep.
guys think they're doing something? I guess talk to Kevin, line up a time slot, right? And just, and by the way, that doesn't mean your idea has to be cooked up pretty well.
yeah,
If you're thinking anything, just put it up there. You'll be amazed what this society can do for you as a group.
so and anybody that has interest in stuff, wants to present something during the week, I can plan it in a little bit better on a lot of stuff. Email me. Here's my Kettering email, so I should probably give you. Just shoot me an email. You'll see that the emails that get sent out, they'll come from me, they'll come from somebody else on the leadership team, shoot them an email, that way we can get that information in, so that way when we plan our presentation, we don't go, oh, hey, we've got this whole big thing, when we know that you want to pitch something. Because again, that's more important that you guys pitch stuff, that's how we learn, versus just having somebody come up and talk, and, you know, you'll learn something, but really be having that interactive environment will learn much more.
I'm not sure their presentation consistent.
The air out presentation,
Yeah,
whatever you wanna do.
yeah,
But if you wanna start looking, that document that I was talking about has a very specific format of, we kind of follow some modified NABC, I don't know if you've heard of that in your classes or not, like need, approach, type of thing. You may wanna look at that document just to get an idea of what you eventually are expected to do. But right now, really, just get up there and say, this is what I'm thinking of doing, this is what I've been doing, and what are you all thinking? Give me, I need a little help here, or, you know, it's just a discussion at this point, okay?
so, do you have a question about that? Nope, okay. Alex keeps pointing at me that he's got something he wants to talk about, so I will let Alex take the floor, and then we can get into, I guess, idea pitching as it really works, so.
So, on the subject of unbaked ideas, I was searching around the internet the other day, and I was looking for a way to manufacture an idea that I had, and I could not find what I thought would work for a manufacturing method. There aren't a lot of rapid manufacturing techniques available to the average Joe. To a company that can pay $1,000 for one part and get it next day, that's all over the place. But there's not really the small cases where some little tinkerer wants to build something up that they don't have the techniques in their garage to build up. And the one technique that I was thinking of was actually laser cutting. So they have relatively inexpensive laser machines, but that's too much for average Joe to have in his garage as well. But there aren't a lot of services at all that do the laser cutting and can ship you the parts. Now, I understand the logistics behind buying the machine and acquiring funds for buying the machine, but I'm a little sketchy on it's going to be providing a product, so I need to get that product to somebody. You know, I know there's UPS, USPS, and all those guys. And, what I wanted to do to stand apart was there's websites out there that you can upload a CAD file. If you guys aren't an ME, a CAD file will just contain the information to make that part. And I'd want my website to be able to give the customer a quote as soon as they upload the file on how much it's going to cost. And I think I understand how I can do that so that the person can make the decision right there on whether or not they want to buy the part. So that's sort of my half-baked idea.
Quick interjection. Are you talking about 3D printing kind of organization, or like actual physical materials other than 3D
It's
printing?
instead of an additive process, it's a subtractive process. So you use a CO2 laser to then cut balsa wood, acrylics, different plastics, ABS.
Interject. It's all 2D as well.
Right.
It's all 2D drawings, it's all 2D cutting. You just have part thickness. So basically it turns out to be what would be an extrusion.
In terms of research and the ways to get into the logistics side of the business, I know there's a company out there, I forget the name, but they basically you pay them a small fee, you upload that same type of CAD file, and they basically bundle that into a giant print job for the 3D printing machine.
Right.
And they fit as many parts into one print job as they can.
Right.
And then they basically cut those all apart and then send them out to their proper recipients. I mean, as far as logistics research, that might be a good avenue to start.
Do they give you a quote on that?
Yes, you get an instant quote.
Instant quote?
Instant quote, based off of the size of the CAD file, or, excuse me, or based off of the type of material you're requesting too, because they use a couple different materials.
Automated quote.
Yes, but it's a 3D printing, not 2D kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
What
So
was 3D?
we're starting with a sheet, like just figure a sheet of paper. You take scissors to that to make two-dimensional parts.
Do you
So
know what
for our
company
scissors is a laser.
Do you know what company that's called?
I don't remember.
Probably quick parts.
I'm not sure. I read CNET and a couple other sites daily. I just remember reading it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could be able to find it somewhere on Google.
I can show you what quick parts instant quote software looks like, if you'd like.
I mean, for 2D,
But
it should be easier to calculate the cost, right?
Right, what I figure the cost is gonna be is your area, I know how much a sheet costs, and then the time to cut that area.
Exactly, which you can just, if you can just put a linear inch of
Exactly.
cut.
mhm.
That's what, I found one company, and I think they operate out of Hawaii or something like that, and they do cost, they do something like 50 cents an inch. So they're upfront with you right there, but, it's a call if you have any more than one part, or, you know, if you're doing anything in quantity, so.
Who would be the primary customer to this?
Right now, I was looking for it, so I was just tinkering around, and I needed a whole bunch of flat parts essentially. You know, if it was a plastic or a wood part, I needed a